Hey, this is Nick, CEO and co-founder at Switcher Studio. So 2020 has been quite the ride. It's been exciting, it's been exhausting, and so many great additions to Switcher this year, in large part thanks to your feedback. The big one that we're excited about here is the ability to host video chat calls directly from your iPhone or iPad without a second device. This means you can also take the program feed and all of the cool additions that you do in Switcher and push it back into the call so your guest or participant can see what you're producing for the show and doesn't have to wait until after the fact. We've also seen an incredible uptick in the use of video chat this year, given all the things that are happening in the world. So now, unlimited video chat hours on the standard and plus plans. We've also had a big bump on what's available through the Essentials plan. This year, for the first time, we introduced the ability to customize the background. So not only can you change colors, but you can use your own images. We also included templated images and the ability to create your own gradients. Another one for this year is the ability to enable auto switching. So now you don't just have to tap across the screen to switch from camera 1 to camera 3. It can happen automatically. We've also made improvements like the ability to trim videos when you add them to Switcher. So now you don't have to do it in other software before you bring it in. You can take a clip straight from your camera roll or from Switcher Cloud and pick where you want it to start, where you want it to stop, and have that available in Switcher to use during your show. As we take a look ahead, you can expect more guests on video chat for the standard and plus plan. We're also introducing wait rooms for the plus plan that will allow you to queue people up ahead of time, where you can check framing, lighting, audio, and have a conversation before you actually bring them into the show. In addition, we'll be adding Magic-multiviews that will automatically enable when you start a video chat session. This will be one scene that you can tap that's pre-populated with everyone on the call, where you don't have to build the multi-view from scratch. As you may know, we really pride ourselves on offering a good customer experience, and one of the ways that we look to continue to improve on that is by investing in support. This means more hires. This means faster response times. You've already seen the additions and improvements in the user group. The Switcher 101 group will have how-tos and tutorials coming to social, and we're going to be looking at more ways that we can allow you to give feedback and ask questions directly from the app. In 2020 was the year Switcher was officially recognized as a LinkedIn Live preferred partner. This means you have the ability to stream to your personal page, your business page, even create an event on LinkedIn and stream directly to it. You can geo-target content, and now you can schedule posts. The Switcher was the original multicam streaming app for iOS, but with the addition of video chat, not only are people bringing in guests from other locations, we're seeing it used in unique ways to remotely produce content. So rather than setting up 3 cameras in the same room, we saw brands like NASCAR remotely producing shows with race car drivers that were distributed, even playing one another through video games and streaming that on Facebook, all remotely produced with Switcher. That proof of concept was later taken to NBC and aired on television. We also saw great examples of remote production from the US Olympics table tennis team, who is now built that into their plans for next year and will be a regular ongoing part of their productions. In addition, Human to Human was a musical concert fundraiser with musicians from all over the country, where they raised $55,000 through online donations, thanks to what they were able to accomplish with Switcher and the remote production capabilities using video chat. The examples we just gave are just a sample of what customers have been able to do on their own. But with this year, we had a ton of inbound requests from people that weren't used to making video on their own or hadn't used Switcher yet, looking to bring their events online. This is where we built out Switcher's remote production service offering, a managed service where we can help produce your content for you, or a monthly online series. Now we're going to throw to Morgan, who can tell you more about Switcher's remote production service offering.
Hi, I'm Morgan Davis. I'm with Switcher Studio. I am a live streaming and remote production specialist. So there are a lot of reasons that a brand would come to us looking to do a remote production. You know, maybe they've had a physical event that they run once a year, multiple times. Who knows? It could be a series, it could be a one-off event, and they're looking to take it virtual. They don't have a lot of experience with it. So they come to us and, you know, we've done a lot of these sort of events. We have a lot of experience with virtual and live streaming. And so it takes a lot of the production stress off of these organizations because I'm there in the pilot seat with them. They're still there. We collaborate really frequently. And I actually think that there's a huge benefit to remote production going forward. And I think a lot of people are starting to see that a lot of the traditional ways of doing things, a lot of ways of traditional production can be unnecessary. If you want to bring in a speaker from another country, it's no longer necessary to pay to fly them out and bring them there. Similarly, if you're a client looking outwards in terms of reach and impact, being able to take your event virtual allows for a huge opportunity of interacting with people, again, in remote areas. So you don't have to worry about that, who can physically come and attend and be in the auditorium or the meeting hall. Your scope is really how many eyes can you get on this thing? Can you get them to pay for virtual tickets? And I think that answer is yes, as long as you're providing good enough content, which is how we think that we can help with the remote production. So one of the events that I wanted to talk about that we did this year was the big virtual summit. So that's Business Inside the Game, which is actually a company that Baron Davis, the ex-NBA player, is involved with. They had decided this was a sort of a demo day, like a demo of just different organizations that Big was involved with. And they had to pivot really suddenly, and they had to take that whole experience, which was a physical event in LA, and then take that completely virtual. So they came to us and we worked really closely with them to kind of make that happen. So one of the really interesting challenges was they wanted this component of a VIP room and then kind of like a general viewing room. And so the general viewing, we streamed to Twitch, and we got over 1 million people watched on Twitch, which was just incredible. We also had this VIP experience in Zoom where, certain ticket holders or a certain ticket level bought into it. They were able to watch the stream as it was going on. And then they split off into these breakout rooms to actually speak to kind of company representatives, company CEOs. On one panel we had someone from America, someone from the UK, and someone from Ghana, all speaking kind of seamlessly and with like perfectly synchronized, which is just something that you prior to this, you might never have seen that. So one of it I'm really proud of this year as well was Norton Children's has an annual snowball, which is a fundraising event for the hospital. And kind of in contrast to the big summit, which was all virtual, everyone was remote. This was a really interesting one because, they were in person at the hospital. They did like a big kind of setup with cardboard cutouts of some of the stakeholders there, but they also dressed the set with like a sleigh and Christmas tree and stuff like that. But were careful to maintain social distance and keeping masks on and stuff like that. And then broadcasting that out to the audience. There's a raffle every year for a BMW and a house, like a really beautiful house. I obviously didn't win. One of the initial drivers behind the programming was to kind of show this material and talk about how the raffle would help with fundraising. So, bring up multiple points to kind of encourage people to buy raffle tickets. And then sort of right before the event, it turned out that they'd actually sold all their raffle tickets, which is exactly what you want to hear from like a charity organization. But there was sort of this element of like, well, what do we do now? So there was this really, I thought, just such a cool pivot to be like, okay, well, we've got that. Let's change the programming to kind of reference specific donations and donation items. So one of the most exciting projects I got to work on this year was SHORTY Awards. So they have a Best in Social award category. And typically, in person, that event is held in New York City. And this kind of, they come along, these representatives collect their awards, and then they're really briefly spoken to or interviewed on the red carpet. And usually that ends up being like a really short little snippet segment of kind of, yeah, what was this about? Yeah, that's great. Really, really kind of truncated experience. So, I mean, there was a lot of really great, representatives and stuff. Edelman, the agency, Chipotle, Google, CNN, to really prominent people kind of doing a lot of stuff on the cutting edge of marketing and advertising. So there was, myself remotely producing. There was an executive producer from the Shorties who was on the call as well. And then there was our host and then the guest. And so, we got into a rhythm where we actually recorded these over a 3-week period so that the Shorties then had them available as kind of a library of these just different interviews with people, again, who don't really get access that often for information. So it was such a cool opportunity to get to highlight some of those stories. And again, it was different from some of the other ones. And I feel like events are always like that, whereas this was a series that was kind of all together, but ultimately kind of was like a unique kind of combined body of work.
Thanks, Morgan. Up next, we're going to take a look at some of the incredible work from the amazing Switcher community. To those watching, thank you and Happy New Year.